And I think that's one of the issues when it comes to research on technology is, so my second comprehensive exam, I'm writing an integrative research paper on existing research about smartphone use and if it should be recognized as an addiction. And one of the interesting things about it is, compared to other things, technology just by itself is not necessarily bad. It's actually kind of good in a lot of senses. Whereas, drugs, alcohol, all those types of variety can be very helpful. So, for example, in January when I head back home, when I head back to UND, if I, sadly end up on the side of the road with car problems, alcohol and tobacco is not going to help me a lot, but my phone will. And
right.
And that's part of the thing, is that one of the things that really kind of makes smartphone use different in that sense. Is that
so it's so interesting. So you've talked about how it's so important to separate the different types of use within smartphone use and figure out if we're going to be measuring, negative consequences of smartphone use, it has to be negative consequences of a subset of smartphone use.
Right.
In other words, it's not screen time in general. It's like certain types of screen time. So how do you identify what types of screen time are detrimental or problematic?
I guess what you'd have to do is you would have to get that particular screen time metric, and then you'd have to look at if it relates to problematic smartphone use in a longitudinal sense. So again, over time.
Got you.
And I think, again, one of the issues with that is there's so much issues of context when it comes to these uses. So, for example, if someone has a long distance partner, they might spend a lot of time on Snapchat, but that's how they connect.
Right.
That's why it's also important to also account for their mood and affect during that time as well.
Of course.
And it's all very complex. We definitely have some work to do.
It's very challenging as a researcher to be looking at, how difficult and complex these issues are, because you have to then somehow figure out a way to distill it down into very specific variables that you can measure. And then try to have like concrete things that you can say as a result of that, knowing that there's so many other variables that go into it that you're maybe not able to completely measure yet. That's so challenging.
Yes, exactly. And so, for example, there was a research paper I read that showed that the number of times an individual checked their phone was inversely related to how depressed they were. So in other words, individuals who checked their phones more frequently were less depressed compared to those who, I know, like could it be maybe that since they have that reassurance that, they're in contact with people, maybe that, helps them out. There's definitely a lot that really kind of goes into play with that.
I also wonder if it depends on what they're checking their phone for as well. Yes. Like if you're just checking like stocks, or if you're just checking like sports updates or something, that's not going to give you the same like dopamine hit as like getting a text from a friend or sharing a meme or
even just if you're checking your phone as a response to a notification versus checking your phone because you want to know, is there something I missed?
Right.
Because if you're checking and you haven't been told that there's something, that might be a sign that you're kind of anxious and you're like, did somebody text me? I'm waiting to hear from somebody. Whereas if you're getting a notification, you look and you put it away, like that's probably a healthy response.
Yeah. Exactly.
Interesting.
I think I forgot to mention this earlier with the grayscale study, but notifications are red for the purpose that red causes anxiety in people. When we see red, we get anxious.
Yes.
So that's part of the reasons why we have notifications that color is it's going to stay red until you check it. One of the things I'm kind of interested in, I don't know if I would ever do a full long research study, because the process of doing research, you have to get approval from the institutional review board. You have to get approval from a bunch of people. So I don't know. I have a lot of things that I'm just kind of thinking, I wonder, but not necessarily like a full-blown study. I think we all know people who they can have 20,000 unread emails, and that's perfectly fine. Or 20,000 unread.
Oh my God, I get such anxiety. And if I look at somebody's phone and there's like 20,000 notifications, I'm like, I can't even look at it. It freaks me out.
Yeah, so that's one of the things I'm kind of interested is, like, is there a psychological
How do those people
trait?
function?
Oh, interesting. Is there something that you could actually understand on an underlying level that makes different people different?
Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you have any ideas of how you would establish that?
That's a good question. Maybe just have them come into the lab, check their phone, see how many notifications they have. But before you would do that, you would maybe have them do maybe a personality measure or some type of trait of some variety, and then just run some type of correlational analysis and see if you can have any relationships in those areas. Another thing you can maybe do is maybe have participants in separate conditions. Maybe in one condition, you give them a phone that has 1,000 notifications, or you give them a phone that has 1 notification, and compare to see if their state measures of anxiety increase as a result.
Oh, right.
I mean,
yeah,
interesting.
That's an idea out there, I guess. I guess one of the ways the pandemic has affected us is that we're not doing in-person research right now.
I would hope not. Yeah.
So a lot of the research I'm currently looking forward to doing isn't relying on that in-person component, because again, we don't know how long all this is gonna, happen. And I'm really excited though about the vaccines being shipped. I would say that's probably the biggest science win of probably the decade. Like, or even longer.
Yeah, absolutely.
How quick they did that.
They got that done in under a year. That's insane.
Unbelievable.
And apparently one of the vaccines was created in 2 days.
Well, that's what's so interesting is the work that it takes to create the vaccine is one thing, but then the time it takes to get it out is running the studies and showing that they're safe and showing that they actually are effective and convincing people that you're doing it in a legitimate way and not just like cutting corners. And it's been unbelievable how fast they've made that happen. We're hoping to interview some people that were inside that bubble, if we can get a hold of them once their crazy year is over, because I'm sure they've just been nonstop this year.
Yeah. I guess another thing I thought about the grayscale study, I would say maybe every so often I would see students having their phones just out in public, like in black and white, and I'd be like, I'm the reason for that.
Right.
Isn't that lovely?
That's amazing.
Isn't that a cool feeling where you're just like, haha, I did that.
That is amazing.
Thanks for checking out this clip from our show.
To watch more clips or full episodes, click on our profile below.
If you want to stay up to date on all of our new episodes and videos, click subscribe.
And if you have any ideas for future guests or topics that you would like to see us cover on the show,
leave us a message in the comments or connect with us on any of our social media channels at Funtime Program.
Or on our website at funtimeprogram.com.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye-bye.